Retirement is not a reward at the end of life. Retirement is a mathematical phase where mistakes become permanent. When you are young, a bad decision costs you time. When you are old, a bad decision costs you survival. Most people think retirement planning is about saving enough money. They think the goal is to reach a number. 1 million, 2 million, maybe 3. But retirement does not fail because of one big mistake. Retirement fails because of a series of small mechanical errors. Errors that look harmless at 40, but become irreversible after 60. When you are working, the system is forgiving. You can earn more, you can recover, you can take risk, you can start again. After 60, the physics changes. Income slows down, expenses become unpredictable, health becomes fragile, time becomes limited, and the margin for error disappears. This is the part nobody tells you. Retirement is not the finish line. Retirement is a long survival mission, and the supplies you carry into that mission must last longer than you think. You are not planning for 10 years, you are planning for 30, maybe more. And during those 30 years, the world will not stay stable. Prices will change, markets will crash, people will ask for money, your body will demand repairs, your mind will get tired, and the system will not care that you are retired. So in this video, we are going to talk about 5 retirement mistakes, not small mistakes, not theoretical mistakes. These are the mistakes that destroy people after 60, the kind of mistakes that look normal at first, but slowly close every exit. These are mechanical traps, financial traps, psychological traps, and social traps. If you make them early, you can recover. If you make them late, you cannot. Lesson number 1 starts with the biggest illusion in retirement planning, the illusion of enough. Most people believe retirement success depends on reaching a number. They say, if I have 1 million, I am safe. If I have 2 million, I am comfortable. If I have 3 million, I am rich. This is the wrong question. The real question is not how much you have. The real question is how long the money must survive. This is what I call the time pressure problem. Imagine I give you a pile of money at age 30, and I tell you this must last until age 90. You cannot work, you cannot earn, you cannot restart. Suddenly the number feels smaller. Because the enemy is not spending, the enemy is time. Most retirement plans are built using average life expectancy. That is a dangerous assumption. Average life expectancy is not your life expectancy. If you are healthy at 60, if you have access to health care, if you have enough money to retire, there is a high probability you will live longer than average. And that creates the first retirement mistake. Underestimating how long the mission lasts. I have seen people retire at 60 thinking they need money for 20 years. Then they live to 90. Now the plan is broken. And at 80, you cannot go back to work. You cannot rebuild savings. You cannot take big risks. This is what makes retirement different from every other phase of life. Time only moves in one direction, and the older you get, the less options you have. Let me give you a real scenario. 2 men retire at the same age, both have the same savings. The first plans for 20 years, the second plans for 30. The first spends freely in his 60s, new car, house upgrade, helping children, vacations. The second spends carefully, keeps reserves, invests for growth, protects liquidity. At 75, the first man feels rich. At 85, he feels fear. At 75, the second man feels cautious. At 85, he feels safe. Same money, different time horizon, different outcome. This is the first rule of retirement physics. The longer the runway, the slower you must burn fuel. And this leads directly to the second mistake, which destroys more retirees than market crashes. Mistake number 2, believing retirement is a low expense phase. People imagine retirement as a calm life. No work, no commute, no stress, less spending. This sounds logical, but reality works differently. Some expenses go down, but others explode. Healthcare, insurance repairs, support for family, home maintenance, inflation on services. And the worst part, these expenses do not come evenly. They come in shocks. One surgery, one accident, one major repair, one family emergency. And suddenly the plan changes. When you are 40, a financial shock is painful. When you are 70, a financial shock is dangerous. Because recovery is slow and sometimes impossible. This is why retirement must be planned like a survival system, not like a vacation budget. You need buffers, you need reserves, you need flexibility. But most people do the opposite. They calculate the minimum, they assume stability, they trust averages. And averages do not protect you in real life. Real life happens in extremes. The roof breaks, the market falls, the doctor finds something, the child needs help, the car stops working. Retirement is not destroyed by daily spending. it is destroyed by unexpected pressure. And if you do not build protection before 60, you will not be able to build it after. This brings us to the third mistake, and this one is pure psychology. The need to feel safe. People think safety means avoiding risk. So when they get older, they move all their money into cash, into savings accounts, into low return assets. This feels comfortable. No volatility, no stress, no fear. But the math is brutal. Inflation never retires. If prices rise faster than your money grows, you are losing wealth every year. Slowly, silently, without noticing. This is the melting problem. Your account balance stays the same, but your purchasing power shrinks. At 3-cent inflation, money loses half its value in about 24 years. At higher inflation, it happens even faster. So a person who retires at 60 and hides in cash may not notice the damage until 75. Then suddenly everything feels expensive. Food, medicine, services, housing, insurance. Nothing crashed, nothing failed. The money just melted. This is why retirement is not about avoiding risk. It is about managing risk. You must stay invested but not exposed. You must keep cash, but not only cash. You must balance survival today with survival tomorrow. And this balance becomes harder after 60, not easier. Because fear increases, and fear pushes people into bad decisions. In the next part, we enter the most dangerous zone of retirement. The mistakes that come from people, family, advisors, and your own habits. These mistakes do not look like threats, but they slowly drain everything you built. The next mistake does not come from the market. It does not come from inflation. It does not come from bad math. It comes from people. And this is where retirement becomes dangerous in a different way. When you are working, people see your income. When you retire, people see your savings, and savings attracts pressure. Not always bad pressure, not always evil pressure. Sometimes it comes from the people you love the most. Mistake number 3, treating retirement money like family money. This is one of the hardest lessons to accept. You spend your whole life helping your children, supporting your family, paying for everything. So when retirement comes, it feels natural to keep doing the same. Help with a house, help with a business, help with debt, help with school fees, help with emergencies. Each one looks small, each one feels justified. But retirement changes the rules. When you are working, helping others reduces your savings. When you are retired, helping others reduces your survival time. This is not emotional, this is mechanical. Every dollar you give away is one less dollar protecting your future. And the dangerous part is that the consequences appear late. Let me give you a real situation. A man retires at 62 with solid savings, not rich but stable. His son wants help buying a house, he gives money. His daughter has financial problems, he helps again. A grandchild needs education support, he helps again. Each decision feels right, each decision feels temporary. But 10 years later, the account is smaller, expenses are higher, healthcare costs appear. Now the same man who felt generous feels trapped. And the worst part, he cannot go back and undo the help. Retirement money is not extra money, it is life support. This does not mean you stop caring, it means you change the system. Before retirement, you are a provider. After retirement, you are a limited resource, and limited resources must be protected. This leads to mistake number 4, and this one destroys people slowly. Trusting the wrong experts. When you retire, you enter a world full of advisors. Financial advisors, insurance agents, investment managers, tax planners, consultants. Everyone has a plan, everyone has a strategy, everyone has a product. And most of them sound reasonable. They speak calmly, they show charts, they use numbers, they promise stability. But retirement has a hidden danger. Fees compound just like returns. People think a small fee does not matter, 1%, 2%, small difference. But over 20 or 30 years, that small percentage becomes a huge transfer of wealth. Let's look at the mechanics. If your portfolio grows at 7% and you pay 1% in fees, you are not losing 1%. You are losing a large part of the growth. Over decades, this can remove a huge portion of your retirement money. And the worst part, fees continue even when performance is bad, even when the market falls, even when you lose money. The advisor still gets paid. This is why retirement requires simplicity. Complex systems are hard to monitor, hard to understand, hard to control. And when you are older, complexity becomes risk. I have seen retirees with 10 different funds, 5 insurance policies, multiple accounts, structured products they do not understand. They feel diversified, but they are actually confused. And confusion is expensive. The rule after 60 is simple. If you cannot explain your investment in 1 minute, you probably should not own it. Retirement is not the time to experiment. It is the time to survive. This brings us to the fifth mistake, and this one is psychological. The belief that you can always adjust later. This belief works when you are young. You can change jobs, change cities, change strategy, change investments. After 60, adjustment becomes slow and sometimes impossible. This is what I call the recovery gap. The older you get, the longer it takes to fix a mistake. Lose money at 30, you have decades to rebuild. Lose money at 65, you may never rebuild. This is why decisions after 60 must be conservative. Not because fear is good, but because time is limited. Let me give you a simple comparison. Two people make the same mistake, one at 40, one at 65. Both lose half their savings. The 40-year-old can work, invest, recover, start again. The 65-year-old must cut spending, sell assets, delay plans, live with stress. Same mistake, different consequences. This is the recovery gap, and people ignore it. They think, I will fix it later. Later is not always available. In retirement, every decision must be made with one question. If this goes wrong, can I recover? If the answer is no, you must think twice, because retirement is not about winning. It is about not losing. And now we come to the final part. The mistake that has nothing to do with money, but destroys retirement faster than anything else. The mistake of losing purpose. The final mistake has nothing to do with markets, nothing to do with inflation, nothing to do with advisors, and yet it destroys more retirees than all financial problems combined. Mistake number 5, retiring from life instead of retiring from work. Most people spend 40 years building a routine. Wake up early, go somewhere, solve problems, talk to people, make decisions, handle pressure, come home tired. This routine feels exhausting while you are living it, but it gives structure, it gives identity, it gives meaning. Then one day it stops. No alarm, no schedule, no responsibility, no urgency. At first this feels like freedom. You sleep more, watch more television, travel, rest, do nothing. For a few months this feels perfect. Then something changes. The days start to feel the same. The mind slows down, the body moves less, motivation disappears. This is what I call the purpose shock. Humans are not built for endless leisure. We are built for effort, for challenge, for progress. Remove those things and the system begins to weaken. I have seen people retire with strong finances and fall apart within 5 years. Not because they lost money, because they lost direction. There is a reason many people die shortly after retirement. It is not always disease. It is loss of engagement. When the brain has nothing to solve, it becomes dull. When the body has no reason to move, it becomes weak. When the mind has no goal, it becomes tired. Retirement planning rarely talks about this, but it should be the first discussion. Because money without purpose becomes weight. Let me give you a simple example. 2 men retire at the same age. One stops working completely. He stays home, watches news, checks his account, complains about prices, waits for the next doctor visit. The other changes direction. He works part-time, helps someone, learns something new, reads every day, keeps a routine. After 10 years, the difference is obvious. One feels old, the other feels active. Same age, same savings, different life. This is why retirement should not be an exit. It should be a transition. You stop working for survival, but you keep working for purpose. Purpose can be anything. Teaching, mentoring, learning, building, writing, helping, studying, creating. It does not have to pay money, but it must demand effort because effort keeps the system alive. There is another danger here, and it is subtle. When people retire, they start measuring life only with money. How much is left? How long will it last? What if I run out? What if something happens? This creates constant fear, and fear leads to bad decisions. Spending too little, worrying too much, avoiding life, protecting money instead of using it. This is the final trap. Saving your whole life and forgetting to live when you finally can. Money is not the goal. Money is stored life energy. You worked for it. You sacrificed for it. You delayed pleasure for it. If you never use it wisely, then the sacrifice had no purpose. This does not mean spending without thinking. It means understanding timing. $1 at 65 is not the same as $1 at 90. Time changes the value of money. Experiences require health. Travel requires energy. Memories require presence. If you wait too long, the opportunity disappears. The goal of retirement is not to die with the biggest account. The goal is to finish with dignity, with stability, with memories, with independence. And that requires balance. Protect enough, but not everything. Save enough, but not forever. Work enough, but not endlessly. Retirement is not a vacation. It is not a reward. It is not the end. It is the longest financial phase of your life. and it demands a different mindset. You must think like a risk manager, not a dreamer. You must think like an engineer, not a gambler. You must think like a captain, not a passenger. Avoid these 5 mistakes. Do not underestimate time. Do not ignore real expenses. Do not give away survival money. Do not trust complexity blindly. Do not retire from purpose. If you understand these rules, retirement becomes stable. If you ignore them, retirement becomes fragile. And after 60, fragile systems break fast.